All right, so I got a spicy one today. This might be a little too spicy because sometimes you guys get a little nutty when I start talking about stuff like this. But this is also a highly requested video and just topic of discussion in general because, given the recent developments in the manga with Orochi coming back to life, it leads us to think like, okay, so now that Orochi is back, is another previous villain who was, consensus above dragon, taken out by Saitama in somewhat of an ambiguous way. Is he going to come back too? But first, let us go over the untimely demise of Boros, and let me also put it out there that I'm going to be comparing a lot of this stuff to Orochi's return, because I think it'll help us with this discussion overall. So, as most of us know, at the end of Season 1, Boros was serious punched by Saitama, or at least the force of it hit him. There was no real physical contact made, but that doesn't really matter because it turned Boros into a microwave pile of goop. Now, Boros was able to talk and stay somewhat conscious after this serious punch. Actually, more so than Orochi, because after Orochi got normal punched, definitely not serious punched, and Saitama himself said that it was a normal punch, Orochi only really said one thing. He was like, "So this is terror." Meanwhile, Boros, friggin' serious punch, was able to have a back and forth with Saitama. And this also brings me back to what I was saying about the ambiguity of his death, because it is somewhat ambiguous, because there's never really a point where it's absolutely 100% confirmed is definitely dead. Now, of course, there's a lot of signs to show that he is, and I don't want to grasp at too many straws here, but, Orochi, I would say, was more so confirmed to be dead than Boros, because, in the following chapter 109, after he got punched by Saitama, Psycho straight up, observed Orochi's skull cap and was like, "Oh, he dead." And, it's Psycho's, being an Esper, probably has a better grasp of understanding the life force of someone than, a typical person. As we're with, Boros, we don't get that. It kind of just, he talks, and then, in the manga, he spits up some blood, which is, the universal sign of somebody's nearing death or is about to die. And then the core on the ship explodes. So that could be signifying right there that Boros' life is gone and that, he has moved on to the alien afterlife, possibly. But we don't get to see him, for sure die. The ship goes down, and then, after Saitama walks away, that's the last time we ever see Boros. So if there's hope for somebody like Orochi to come back after being straight up confirmed to be dead, then come on, at least there's somewhat of a possibility that Boros could come back too. Because also another similarity that we have here is the regeneration ability. Now, Boros shown many times that he had this crazy regeneration ability before death and everything, but Orochi not so much. I mean, we can kind of guess that Orochi had a regeneration ability because he was, going down the path of monstrification. He was going deeper and deeper into that power. And we know that what comes with that power is regeneration. So we just, of course, didn't know that he was going to be able to use it to this extent and slowly rebuilding himself by grabbing monsters and stuff. Now, Boros is an alien. He's not tapping into the same power source that Orochi is. His regeneration is more of an inherent ability of his race. So we don't really know all of the intricacies of it. We don't know if he can come back after dying or if he can slowly rebuild himself. But I would say that Boros just has as much of potential or even more potential to come back from this death encounter than Orochi does, because we saw that after getting consecutive normal punch by Saitama, when he was reduced to just mush, he just had an eyeball left and he was able to come back instantly from that. So obviously we haven't seen Orochi do anything like that. It's actually taking him much more of an arduous task to come back from just heart element, whatever that means. Regardless, Orochi coming back in this amorphous form means that, in theory, the microwaved pile of goop that Boros was could come back too. So now that we've broken all of that stuff down, let's go into the somewhat realistic possibilities of what could happen within the story. So I've got about 3 of these possibilities, but the first one is the most popular and the one that makes the most sense, and that is it having something to do with Metal Knight, because we know for sure Metal Knight is in control and possession of Boros' spaceship. We saw that he was salvaging it at the end of Season 1, and then in the data book it later confirmed that he does have Boros' ship. It's possible that he has come across Boros' microwaved corpse. Now, I mean, why wouldn't he? I mean, because it's there, right? Or we could just want to assume that it was completely destroyed when the ship fell down. Maybe, maybe not. But this is the most realistic scenario that I personally see Boros having a chance of coming back here. Now, even if Bofoy does find Boros' corpse, why does he have incentive to try to bring him back to life? Well, I don't know, curiosity maybe. It could be plot-induced just to have Boros come back as a later adversary. But also we have to, remember that Bofoy is not like a biological engineer, or he doesn't have specialty in that type of stuff. He's like a technological type of dude. So we can't just assume that because he knows technological stuff that he'd be able to bring back, a biological being. But, maybe he could. Maybe he can, like, jumpstart him, shoot him with a couple, 1.21 gigawatts and bring him back to life. And then I know that a lot of us have the theories in our head that he's going to come back, Mecha Frieza style. And that is possible, too, because there are a lot of parallels to be drawn between Boros and Frieza, especially the way that they die. Like, Frieza was reduced to, like, a chewed-up torso, and then he came back, in a mecha style. And instead of, like, Metal Knight having this ultimate end-all, be-all, unbeatable, above-dragon robot in the future of the story, he might just have, like, Mecha Boros, who is under his control, possibly. I don't know, but it just seems like this is the most likely thing for Boros to come back. Now, there are two other possibilities, and this is going to involve some headcanon here, but I think it's pretty entertaining. But I'm also going to have to go into webcomic spoilers in order to break this down. So if you don't want to know what's going to happen past what the manga is currently on, I suggest you check out now. So possibility number 2 brings us to Dr. Genus. So after the Monster Association War wraps up, Zombie Man goes to talk to Dr. Genus, and he's like, hey, you were right about Saitama, blah, blah, blah. Hey, remove my limiter. And Dr. Genus is like, nah, but come down into the basement. I got something I want to show you. So we have no idea what this means. This storyline has not been resolved yet. But given that it's Dr. Genus, we can assume that maybe it has something to do with, like, some kind of experiment that he's working on. Now, like what I was talking about with Dr. Bofoy, he's not really, like, a biological type of dude. Dr. Genus, however, is. So if anybody were to come across Boros' corpse and be able to do something with it and bring it back to life and probably make it even more powerful, it would be Dr. Genus. But we're going to have to try to figure out, like, how would he even come across Boros' corpse in the first place? Well, this is where headcanon's going to come into play. Maybe he sent Armored Gorilla to go investigate the alien ship crash. Armored Gorilla was able to get past Metal Knight's robots or whatever, and then just found Boros' corpse. It was like, hey, this is interesting. Let me bring this back to Dr. Genus. And then we come to the point of him resurrecting Boros, and then that's how Dr. Genus comes back into the story as a potential villain, which I don't think is going to happen. But in this scenario, maybe, or he brings back Boros to be like a justice type of dude. Maybe he wants him to defend humanity. Maybe he's changed his ways. I don't know, but that's just one possibility that I want to throw out there. So the last possibility, and this is the most headcanon, but I think this is the most entertaining and something that I think you're going to get hyped on, and that is God bringing Boros back. So hear me out. Now, God seems to have some type of omniscience ability to him. Because how was he able to hear Homeless Emperor talking about hating humans and all of that stuff? And how was he able to intervene at the exact moment that he was going to off himself, for the sake of the ecosystems? I'm assuming that he can hear everything, or selectively can hear what he wants. So given that, he probably is definitely aware of the whole Boros invasion. Now, given that Boros was about to destroy all of humanity with his cannon, maybe that, excited God. He was like, oh, this guy is prepared to take out humanity. I'm on board with this dude. And then he uses his powers, I don't know, to just bring Boros back to life, because maybe he could do it. And then maybe he's like, he talks to Boros in his mind. He's like, hey, I like what you're doing. I'm a fan of your work. I can bring you back to life, and I can even buff you. But you kind of got to be my servant, and you just got to take out humanity. And after that, you can just do whatever you want. Just don't destroy the Earth, bro, because I love the Earth. I kind of am the Earth. And that would be awesome. That also brings us to the end game of the series as to where, like, you know, God is going to be the final villain. Nothing's going to change there. But then Boros, revived Boros, is going to be like his right-hand man. Wouldn't that be awesome? I'm getting excited just thinking about it. Somebody should make that fan manga for me. But, you know, we've got Saitama fighting God at the end of the series, and then his right-hand man, Boros, fights everyone else, or at least all of the major players at that point in the story. But, I don't know. Just a lot of headcanon, a lot of speculation. Probability of that happen is probably less than 1%. But, you know, that's pretty much it for all of the Boros return talk that I have. Let me know about all of your speculation, all of your theories in the comments. I'm sure you guys got a whole bunch of them. Let's just try to keep it civilized, guys, please. But if you like this video, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon, gives you access to a weekly Q&A. But if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.